Hello everyone. This is going to be a very short show and tell video where I'm going to showcase you some experiments I had been doing with Copilot Studio and some of the native connectors. In this video we are going to see OneDrive connectors which we will use. But the focus of this video is wherein I'm going to basically change certain actions together wherein we can use output of one action as an input to another. With OneDrive, as you all know, we have some connectors which are available as part of Power Platform connector family, which is list files in the folders, get file content. We are going to focus on these two actions which are available, and by smartly combining these two, we can build an agent which can search for the documents, which can read in the process documents, and can also even summarize the document as part of our Copilot Studio agent. So now I already have an agent which is created. So I'm just going to explain you how this agent is working and how it is behaving. First, let's try to see that how the agent is responding. For example, I wanted to ask that I am trying to find all the files related to GITEX. So what it will do is it will suppose to go into my OneDrive, find and list all the files with the name GITEX, and then it would respond with the files which are related to GITEX. So if you see here, what it did is it has basically searched and filed two files which are there in my OneDrive related to GITEX. Let's try another example. Say for example, I have a document which is called as US visa notes. I wanted it to summarize the visa notes document. So I'm asking it, can you summarize what is inside US visa notes? And if you see here, what it is doing, it is first calling an action which is called list files and folders, and then it is basically calling the content get file content, and then based on that it is basically able to respond and summarize the content of the file. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about chaining of the actions, wherein two actions basically kind of do certain things and then able to produce the output out of it, right? Let us also see some couple of more queries where I'm asking, can you give me list of the files which are modified today? So what it will do is, in this case, because I'm only asking list of the files, it is going to find the files which are modified today, and it is going to give me that particular file. Now let us see how I built this, right? So as I was saying, I have used tools, which is basically actions, wherein I have used two connectors, basically two actions, which you can say from OneDrive. OneDrive actions is OneDrive for Business, within where there are two actions called list files and get file content. I have modified the name of the connector so that it basically depicts the purpose of that particular actions or connector. But ideally, I am using list files in folders and then get file content, which is the action which is available. Let's first see what is there in get OneDrive files. So I renamed this particular action to get OneDrive files. This is list files in folders. I renamed it to get my OneDrive files, and I have also updated the description to saying this operation get list of files and subfolders in the folder. This is very important, not for the first action, but I will show you why it is important for the another action. And then every action which we are wanted to use, there would be always three sections which we have to fill. First is the detail, second is the input. So depending on what actions or which connector we are using, there would be certain mandatory request objects or attributes which we have to send. In this case, because list files in folder needs a folder ID, what I'm doing is, rather than having find it dynamically by the AI, I'm basically going to set up saying that it is a custom value which we have to send. Now, so I'm putting it as a root, and then in the completion I'm just saying default, do not respond or anything. Okay, now let's see the second action, which is basically get file content. I have renamed this to get file content for summarizing, because this is the main action which is basically is going to do the main purpose of summarizing the documents once the document has been found. All right, so I have renamed it to get file content for summarizing, and I'm going to show you why it is important to update the description. So what I have put here is, after some experiment, I was able to basically come up with this particular instruction which works very well while we wanted to basically change certain actions together. The main purpose of this action is to get the content of the file and summarize for the end user, which is all right. But I'm also giving an instruction saying that first call get my drive file actions, which is the previous actions which we have seen, and then identify the unique ID of the file based on the file name. So this is where we are instructing that what you need to do is you need to call the OneDrive file action, get my OneDrive file action, find the unique file ID. And why this unique file ID is important? Because this particular get file content actually requires the file which is unique identifier of the file as an input, and which is mandatory. So if we are going to directly call the content, directly call this action which is get file content, it needs that file ID, but the user is not going to give us the file ID in his user request or in his user query, right? We need to find it. He is going to give us the file name. So here we are giving AI instruction that please find the file ID based on the file name by calling the first action, which is get my OneDrive files as an action. And then I'm also giving some example. So if I'm saying that can you summarize file name docs, if the user is asking this, then you need to find the unique identifier from calling get list in folder action, which is basically my OneDrive actions, got my OneDrive file actions, and find the file with the file name and store the unique identifier to basically pass it to the file parameter. So this is where I'm clearly giving the instruction to the AI that where it needs to pass the unique identifier, which is the input name, which is basically the file. Now another important thing is do not return zip but just return summary in bullet point as response. Why I need to add it? So while I was experimenting with this, what I have found is that I was able to pass the dynamic file ID to this action based on the previous output of the action, but the response which I was getting was not the summary of the file content, but I was getting a zip file which was basically a binary file which was returning by the AI. I don't want that. What I wanted was I wanted the AI to basically give me the summary of the file content, and that is where when I added this instruction wherein I'm telling it specifically that do not give me the file content in zip or anything. I want you to return the summary as in response, and this is how we are able to see the response being sent from the file. So that's how we have to give clear instruction to AI on what kind of output needed. This is kind of very similar to the prompt engineering which we understand as part of also ChatGPT, that the clear and concise instruction to the AI is going to give us the required or desired output which we want. So this, just to conclude, this is a quick look on how we can use basically OneDrive connectors inside Copilot Studio to create powerful agents. What interesting about this was the chain actions, and result of one tool or action can be used as an input for text to another one. I will be exploring some more combinations with other connectors soon, but for now I hope this is giving you some ideas on how you can basically use this kind of pattern to create your own agent or to use multiple actions which are available. Thanks for watching. If you like this, feel free to connect, share your thoughts and show what you have built. Thank you.